Hey guys, how's it going? Srey here and I am back today with another video. Today it's going to be a patch rundown for the PTR notes of June 5th, 2017, also known as the Malthael patch. So if you're new to this kind of series, I basically just go over the patch and give you a rundown of my opinions on the changes and how it'll impact the game. So let's jump right into it. First we have Malthael, and I have played him a little bit, but not really too much to judge him off of. He seems to be really, really good as a counter pick to frontline or tanky comps, so this double tank meta that we see, he'd be really good into that. But he's also very weak against triple backline, so if the enemy team goes something like Tracer, or they have Li Ming, or they have long range poke heroes, he's going to be very bad against those because he doesn't really have any mobility unless he can land his E to teleport to a target. So I should probably explain as well that he does percentage damage and he's therefore really good against high health targets. So another counter to Cho'Gall, really good versus Stitches, really good versus frontline. But since he does percentage of max health, he's not very good versus targets with low health and high damage. So I think he'll be a counter pick. He definitely won't be like a first pick hero because it's really easy to counter him in that way. But he does seem to be, again, very, very good. Specifically, this ult right here is also very, very powerful. Last Rites, apply death sentence to an enemy hero that after 2 seconds deals damage equal to 50% of their missing health. 50% of missing health is a lot. So they're at 50% health, then you're going to be doing 25% of their max health. And if they're at 30% health, then you do even more. And this is also a repeatable quest, so you can reduce the cooldown. It's normally I believe 75-second cooldown, and you can reduce it to a 15-second cooldown by when by 5 seconds per kill that you can use it on. So this is really, really strong, especially late game. So he actually has a repeatable quest talent in his uh, alt or his heroic. Okay, so we have some changes here. User interface changes. Okay, mastery taunts have been added for additional levels. Nice. These rank play changes are nice, so lessen the personal rank adjustments in both Hero League and Team League, which allows players' ranks to move more quickly during win or loss streaks. This is nice. And then Team League changes that we've all been waiting for. So Team League matchmaking will now allow players to wait indefinitely until the system finds a reasonable match for their skill level. So I don't know why, but even if I just queue into a Team League right now into a 3-man party, I'll most likely be queued with plats, bronze even, diamonds. Almost never is it a evenly skilled game. Don't know why, but that's the way the system works now. But with this change, it'll actually make the players wait for a good game. I don't know how long the queues will be. It says indefinitely, so it could be 15 minutes. I don't know. Will I play it? Probably not if the queues are that long. So I don't know. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that can make they can make matchmaking even better. But for now, we'll see how this turns out. Okay, so now we're on to actual design changes. Bolt of the Storm range has been reduced by 20%, so it's not as annoying to deal with. The range on Bolt is always extremely long, so just reducing the range a bit, and then new Bolt of the Storm alternatives have been added for several heroes, and we'll go over those. We also have a map rotation update, so all the maps are going to be available in AI, Quick Match, and Unranked, and there will be a map rotation for Ranked. I still don't like this change. I really just want to see a map rotation that mimics HGC maps for ranked. Like I don't want to play on Battlefield of Eternity, or sorry, not Battlefield, Blackheart's Bay. I never want to play on that map. I don't want to play on Hanamura. I want to play on the same maps that I play in HGC. And obviously that comes from an HGC player, but I think it'd be really good for the community to be playing on the same maps as well. Blackhearts is just, I don't know, so outdated. It doesn't really fit the style, in my opinion, at all. Some people love it, some people hate it. I guess I'm just one of the people that dislike it. It also, some of the weird maps like Garden of Terror, Blackheart's Bay, they allow for really annoying strategies as well that can't be used on other maps. So now we have, oh, and also the catapult change here catapults can now slightly overlap with one another to help prevent them from being stuck against each other. So often what would happen is that um, on some maps, in some situations, the catapults wouldn't be able to effectively get damage on the core. So it'd be like instead of having you have 3 catapults and then 2 of them get stuck together, so you really would only have 2 catapults, and it reduced the effectiveness of getting a keep down. Now it's much more punishing. Gone to some changes. So Kerrigan got Bolt of the Storm removed, and she has a new talent. So activate to teleport a short distance and deal damage to enemies in the area. Enemy heroes hit by um, hit give Kerrigan 300% of the damage dealt as a simulation shield. So it's basically a shorter blink. The distance is shorter, and it doesn't really deal too much damage, but it does give Kerrigan a ton of assimilation shields. So you can see this as a buff or a nerf. It's more of just a change. So it's still a 70-second cooldown, and Bolt isn't going to be as long of a range, but it's definitely more of an engaged tool now. And in a lot of situations, this might just be better. Bolt of the Storm was just removed on Raynor with no follow-up. I'm kind of surprised it didn't do something to compensate for that because Raynor's already on the very bottom of the totem pole in terms of strength for heroes. Thrall got a massive update. In fact, it's a total kit rework, and I won't go over all the changes here, but TLDR, I think he's a lot stronger. Don't see how you could say he isn't. They did nerf some of his basic abilities, so Chain Lightning, for example, cooldown is increased by 2 seconds, but the number of bounces increased by 1, and then the range in the bounces is reduced. And the big nerf to his base kit here, or the big buff, sorry, is Feral Spirit no longer stops upon the first enemy hero hit, and it also travels 25% further with each enemy hero hit. So the root is better, and his heal from his Frost Wolf Resilience is nerfed by about 33%, about a third as well. But he does have a lot of really interesting talents. One of the interesting talents is hit at least 2 enemy heroes with a single cast of Chain Lightning, and the reward is increases bounce damage by 10 up to a maximum of 400. So your Chain Lightning bounces will do an additional 400 damage once it's stacked. But obviously you have to do that 40 times. So it's still going to take quite a lot of times to stack that, uh, but it's not unrealistic to be able to do it. So I think that's a pretty good. If you actually do stack this, it's going to be very, very influential. And you also have gain additional charge of Chain Lightning at level 1 as a quest talent as well. Some other interesting talents are Frostwolf Pack and also Ancestral Wrath. Each time Frostwolf Resilience activates, Thrall gains a stack of Ancestral Wrath up to a maximum of 8. Once you have 8, you can activate it to target a hero, stealing 15% of their max health over 3 seconds, and healing Thrall for 150% of this amount over 3 seconds. So you're going to heal yourself for over 30% of their target's max health, and you can just keep, and it doesn't cost any mana or anything. You can get it at level 7, so this is also really, really powerful. Another interesting change is they changed his level 20 for World Breaker, so the cooldown is now also decreases. It also decreases the cooldown of Sunder by 20 seconds. No longer travels indefinitely, but creates a pathing blocker for 3 seconds. So basically, when you Sunder a target, it also the Sunder kind of remains there for a moment or for 3 seconds, and you can't walk through it, you or the enemy team. So this could be very, very helpful for splitting teams late game. And the other talent that really caught my attention is a level 20 talent. See if I can find it here, or not 2016, I believe. Alpha Wolf. So increases the root duration from 1 to 1.5, and for 3 seconds after being hit by a feral spirit, Thrall's basic attacks deal 3% of the target's max health. So if you use that with Wind Fury, you're going to be able to do a huge amount of the target's max health. So it's basically just a better giant killer. Overall, Thrall, I think, is going to be a lot better. You will definitely do more damage. Support, Lily got her Bolt of the Storm removed with no replacement, but that wasn't really too big on Lily because you go Kung Fu Hustle. Malf didn't get a rework, a total rework, but he got a partial rework, so overall it is definitely a nerf. And the big key parts here are Twilight Dream no longer gives passive mana regen, and they kind of slightly increase the mana cost and regrowth. Not a big deal since they reduced the mana cost on Moonfire. And they've slightly reduced the mana ticks for regrowth. And the big changes here is he has no cleanse anymore. So he no longer has cleanse. He's the only main support in the game. They even added cleanse to Lily because she didn't have it. And they've removed cleanse from Malfurion. So that will be very, very impactful. So now he's along the lines of Ariel. And Ariel is still quite good, but she does have Aegis at level 10, which can function similarly to a cleanse, so it can help prevent blow up. But now Malfurion has no way to prevent or to counter CC comp, so he's very much a healer over time with no access to, with no way to prevent any kind of burst damage or burst CC, and that is a big deal. So it's going to make him better in double support comps and good if the team doesn't have CC. But if they do have CC, you're going to be kind of in trouble for Malfurion. I think this is a buff to quick match Malfurion and people who play Malfurion at lower skill levels because they don't use cleanse effectively. So now you just have better replacements. He does also have new additional talents like heroes hit by entangling roots have all healing received reduced by 30% for the duration. So that's really good. That makes him even better in if you're running a burst comp. So if you're running a burst comp, then and you root a target, then they'll receive less healing for the duration, which makes it easier to kill a target. The other big nerf is that hardened focus was removed at 16, which was the go-to for Malfurion, and it's been replaced by this really crappy version where heal over time portion of growth is increased by 40% when you're above 75% health. So the previous iteration of hardened focus, if I believe, was if you're above 75% health, your cooldowns refresh 50% faster, and that was just extremely powerful. Because you can see it'd be much better than regrowth there because it also reduces the cooldown of your root and Moonfire and every other basic ability. And then they've also removed Bolt of the Storm on Malfurion, which obviously was very good if you bolt in and then Twilight Dream. However, they have kind of changed it a little bit for his Nightmare ability. So Nightmare has been renamed to Astral Communion and new functionality, so it no longer slows enemies. And when you activate it, you channel for 1 second and then instantly teleport to the target location and cast Twilight Dream. This shares a cooldown with Twilight Dream. So it's effectively just you have to channel before you bolt, and then you can bolt and you'll instantly cast Twilight Dream. And the range is a lot shorter than normal Bolt of the Storm as well. The only uptick here is that when you bolt in Twilight Dream, as you are in the game right now, you have to use the cast time on when you bolt in and then you Twilight Dream. There's a slight cast time on Twilight Dream, so you could get interrupted. But with this effect, once you use Astral Communion, there is no interrupt time for Twilight Dream, so you will always Twilight Dream when you blink. And the blink is actually quite short for the range. The range is quite short, so don't know how to describe it, but I think it's less than your root range. Stitches also got Bolt of the Storm removed, and they've replaced it or kind of changed the functionality where Hungry Stitches, the damage bonus has been removed, and the added functionality when active, Gorge has increased range and can be repeatedly recast until the first target is expelled, so that's normal. Over gorging a target outside of melee range will teleport Stitches to the target. So the damage bonus is removed, but you can teleport when you're using Hungry Stitches. So the teleport range is about the same as your base slam range, and this makes it very, very easy to gorge entire teams. Although you lose the damage bonus is 40% increased damage bonus, so that was quite a lot. And it's never going to be as good as Bolt of the Storm because you could gorge a single target and then bolt, which is extremely powerful. They've also changed regenerative bile here, so instead of you don't gain any more healing or increased movement speed when you have the 20 talent, instead you have instead of a 2-second increase in duration, you have a 6-second increase in duration, and it increases the slow effect. So this is better for potent bile. Usually it's gonna be better. And then Cannibalize is a new talent. Basic attacks against enemy heroes heal Stitches for 5% of his maximum health. So if you think of Leoric, that's obviously very familiar because Leoric life steals 5% of the enemy target's maximum health to him. So this isn't necessarily worse. I mean, you're not doing 5% of the target's max health like you would with Leoric, but Leoric or Stitches does have the highest health in the game. At least at level 1, Cho'Gall outscales him at level 20. But he's still healing for 5% of his max health with every auto attack, so that's a huge amount of health, and I believe his attacks are quite significantly faster than Leoric's as well. Then we have some new skins, which are nice, and nothing too interesting here. Some bug changes and bug fixes, And a nice change as well for the bug fix was Illin's Evasion, Chen's Elusive Brew, and Zul's Shade Armor no longer prevent damage overtime effects from displaying properly in the health bars. And if you ever played those heroes with against dots when you're activating their dodge or evade talents, then it was very annoying because you couldn't see how much uh, dot damage you were taking. So that's been fixed, and there's some other bug fixes as well. But that's pretty much all the changes for this patch. Overall, Thrall is going to be a lot better. Malthael will be very good against double tanks, lots of frontline, and Malfurion is going to be a nerfed version of himself as he is now. I think he will be better in situations where you don't need cleanse or in double support comps. And I didn't mention, but he also had some other talents that were buffed as well. So vengeful roots, and you have some other availabilities at level 7 now as well. You can go Moonfire build much earlier. So overall, it's a nerf, but he's stronger in different ways. Anyway, that's all I have for today, guys. I will talk to you next time.